Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to Funky Monkey MMA.
Welcome to another edition of the Funky Monkey MMA Radio. I am Rob Mead. Seeing today, I am being joined by Davis. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing good, man. Excited to talk to our guest. Been looking him up on Superdog and a little bit everywhere. So, yeah, excited for this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a great interview. Got Bill Smallwood, who is a manager. He is a booker for C3 Fights. He has brokered a TV deal for them. He is also a fighter and the trainer. Also, we have Brandon Shelton, an incredible fighter, and I believe he's also a Bellator veteran as well. Doing today.
Yeah, Brandon beat up my buddy on Bellator. Beat up my buddy on
I love it.
You with us, Brandon?
Hello? You guys there?
Yeah, buddy, we're talking about you back now, man.
Hold on, you guys are cutting out a little bit. How are you?
I'm doing good
How about
myself.
yourself?
I'm doing good. Just taking the first day off I've had in a long time, so it's feeling good.
So you were talking about, Mr. Craig, you were talking about Brandon beat up your buddy. Who did he actually fight in Bellator?
He fought Owen Evinger, my buddy Owen Evinger. It looks like back in April of 2011. Yeah, beat my buddy with a rear naked choke in the first round. That's impressive, too, because Owen's a tough competitor. And for Brandon to take him out in the first round, he's the real deal.
Yeah, I remember that fight. Owen was a tough kid. I remember hitting him, and he kept coming forward, and I was like, oh, jeez. I was like, this guy likes to be hit.
Well, I mean, look at his sister, man. His sister's Tanya Evinger. She was just on the tough, seat opener or whatever. And, I'm around Tanya all the time because she does a lot of matchmaking for the events I work with. And she beats up everybody. I mean, when she's around...
She's a beast.
Yeah, you've got to be on your...
I see like half of her stuff coming out of like St. Louis, Missouri all the time, though, all of the posts and stuff, though, man. Like, her heart's in it a lot. It's crazy.
Well, Owen's her brother. I think that's her little brother. So you can imagine Owen had to grow up getting beat up by his sister.
He had a real statement to make.
Yeah, so when you come in and you submit Owen in the first round, man, you're the real deal. So you're a pretty tough character.
I appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate it.
You know what's crazy, guys, really quick? This is Bill Smallwood. One of the first times that I actually started doing business with C3, which is Dr. Ron Tripp's organization, I know I had some complications, like with losing my ID and stuff, so it's pretty neat that he actually sent Brandon Shelton and his lady, Jacqueline, to actually come and get me. And I went all the way down to, what was it, DFW. Isn't that where you picked me up?
Yep. We headed down to Dallas.
And it's crazy because two guys that actually grew up like wrestling and stuff, one of the first things that I was, learning about him, you guys know that Oklahoma is obviously like the wrestling capital. That's where, That's where the Hall of Fame and pretty much, John Smith, Kendall Cross, Kenny Mundy, and all those guys came from, right?
Well, it's just every other state wants to be half as good as Oklahoma.
But no. Aside from that, it's Daniel Cormier and all those guys. But anyway, the really neat thing that I actually learned that I'd never actually learned was that Brandon, I think it was that your dad or your grandfather that was the first time, four-time state champion.
It was my great uncle was the first four-time state champion out of Oklahoma, and then my grandpa went on to be a state champ, and then my dad and my brothers, and on both sides. So yeah, it's just I didn't have much of a choice growing up. I don't even remember learning how to wrestle. So it's just something, just a bloodline. That's what we do. You're in Oklahoma, you're going to wrestle. You're going to be short, and you're going to have ball fire here.
Oklahoma is legit, though. Fighters in Oklahoma are very legit. They have a very, very, very solid sharpening iron process going up through the shows. I mean, even the lower level shows, man, you've got to be a tough kid to get through there. So, a lot of respect for fighters coming out of Oklahoma already.
Absolutely.
Everybody's pretty much recently too. Everybody's getting the stand-up game going here too. So there's going to be a lot of fighters that people haven't really heard of that did a lot of lay and pray that are going to come out and surprise a lot of people that, you know, it's just now, okay, we're not wrestlers anymore, we're MMA fighters, so it's a lot of really tough, well-rounded guys that are coming out of Oklahoma now that are going to start breaking into the scene.
Well, there's another fighter that come out of Oklahoma that's very tough, and people have kind of forgotten his name, and, you know, he can't fight anymore due to medical stuff, but Brian Foster, man, that guy is as tough as they come, and he come right out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was an animal. He hit hard.
Well, not only that, I mean, his transitions were fast, his wrestling was very good, and if I remember right, Brian didn't even fight amateur. He comes straight into the pros.
Yeah, that's a lot in Oklahoma. I never went amateur. A lot of my friends never go amateur. It's just the mentality we have is we wrestle, you know, in college you're wrestling the best guys in the country every week. And so when it comes to amateur, why do you want to go amateur? You want to go straight to pro and get on with it. You know, there's no difference in in my opinion, you know, wrestling match grind it's a grind, and MMA fight it's a grind. So we're grinding every single week. You know, if it was my choice, I would fight every week. I don't see the difference. So,
you know what, Bradnon? I was actually looking through your record though, and you know, I was actually trying to get your update for some of your video. I actually seen where you fought one week and then you fought the next week. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't turn fights down. If they're offered, I accept them. So if I'm healthy, I'll take the fight. And I love fighting. I love being in there, and it's what I do. So I'm not going to turn the fight down. So if they offer it, I'll fight 3 or 4 times in a month if the commission will let me.
That's the big part.
Crazy though. And one thing, guys, though, just because I still fight back in Oklahoma a lot, and the really neat thing is this, is that a lot of times that a lot of the casinos obviously hold the fights, and then whenever you're dealing in Oklahoma, before it was even a state, it's actually called Indian Territory. So a lot of times they don't always use like the Oklahoma Fight Commission and stuff. So, I mean, they'll use just different commissions and whatnot. So you're trying to hip hop on different, you know, from left foot to right foot and try to figure out, like, you know, kind of all the intricacies and all the little politics and different things. But other than that, you just get the opportunity to fight at different places. I mean, it's pretty neat. They got a Hard Rock out there. They've got, you know, just different places there in Oklahoma City, and then
all the Lucky Stars and so.
Well, speaking of Oklahoma sanctioning body, I haven't checked in a while, but didn't Oklahoma put out a thing saying they were going to do away with amateur fights until they could get the funding up or something? They couldn't afford to sanction the amateur fights anymore?
I believe so. Actually, I know that happened up until about January 2013, but I got to be honest with you, C3 fights, and this is kind of one of the controversial things, though, because C3 fights, we're actually non-sanctioned. So I actually book for a lot of their fights, and a lot of people will ask me straight up, though. They'll say, and this will be through either like guys like Battlegrounds or what's Dale Cook's organization called. And they'll ask me straight up, they'll say, well, how come your business partner doesn't exactly, why doesn't he want to get a, whatchamacallit, why doesn't he, what am I trying to say, why doesn't he want to get a fight license? And it's not that he doesn't, it's just that whenever we get ready to go and sit down with a casino executive, the casino executive or the tribe doesn't want to use Oklahoma Commission, and they don't have to because they're a separate body, a sovereign nation, and it's kind of like they're their own government. So we just say, if you guys want to use them, we'll use them. It's just like this. I know that, you know, we were going to start doing fights in Arizona because Arizona is another big mixed martial arts breeding ground. I mean, you got Cain Velasquez, you got Jamie Varner, you've got Ryan Bader, C.B. Dalloway, Kelvin Gastelum, those guys from there. So when you deal in Arizona, I know this. The biggest thing is that MMA and boxing both have the same fight organization or the same fight commission when it comes to the states. So when John McCain ran for president, the thing is that John McCain asked boxing and MMA for money. Boxing gave him a ton for his campaign contributions, and mixed martial arts gave him the middle finger. So whenever John McCain is campaigning or dealing with issues, he's going to be for boxing. And he says, you know what? MMA is cockfighting. And this is a guy that was a senator majority whip. You got to understand, there's a lot of politics whenever it comes to stuff like that. So we pretty much leave it up to the venue. If the tribe says, you know, we're going to, you know, have a fight here and we want this person to do it, you know what? Whenever they're paying the money, we let them make the rules. So we pretty much just leave it up to that.
Well, not only does boxing and MMA use the same commission, but also wrestling, WWE wrestling, pro wrestling, and all that, and they get the squeeze down as well. And they have to go through the exact same thing, physical, the whole 9 yards before every event. Even though
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at most commissions. The one thing is, look at most commissions. The guys that run it, it's so crazy because people don't even look at their title. It says Juris Doctorate. And I'm like, why in God's name would a guy that runs a fight commission, why would he have a Juris Doctorate? I mean, why is he a doctor? Why is he in politics?
Well, here's another thing.
Sure.
You know, I'm a ring announcer, and I have to buy a license in each state. Also, well, not every state. You know, some states don't have it. California doesn't have an announcer's license. Indiana doesn't have one anymore. But anyways, but when I come in and it's a casino, a lot of times I have to buy a license through the casino, and a lot of times it's only a one-day license. And I mean, they prefer background check, the whole 9 yards. And the casino says, or you know, they tell us, you know, we care about the quality of the product that we're bringing in. You know, this is our baby. This is our livelihood. We want to make sure that we have nothing but the best of the best for pros here. And we don't want scrubs and somebody hiring their best friend to come in and just announce. And, you know, and not only that, I have to even give them a background, a resume that lets them know why I'm worthy enough to announce in their casino. But I mean,
no. And you and I both know this, and Brandon should know this as well. Until you really make it, until you got these major sponsors, which I'm glad that, you know, he and I are both from Oklahoma, because oil and gas sponsors are just now starting to really dip their toe in the pool and really help us out. But what I can say is that, oh man, I did where I just like lose my train of thought. Shoot. I forgot what I was going to say, gentlemen. No. What I was going to say is like quality. Whenever they get in, you know, whenever they start trying to have, you know, different things like whenever they're going to charge all these fees, there's nothing really too complicated about it. Whenever you're going to have Hep B, Hep C, HIV, you're going to have a guy that's obviously going to be able to see ophthalmology, and you're saying, hey, you know what, right out, you know, get these things. You know, it's not really a big deal. And a lot of times, I mean, sometimes we won't have them get their ophthalmology because obviously, I mean, you know, you're going to say that the guy's going to obviously see the guy. I mean.
Well, Bill, you know, I obviously know because I have notes and everything. What's your role with C3 Fights?
I book the casinos.
Ah, you're the man that runs around and does the wheeling and dealing and locks in the venues.
I am, yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say? I'm actually half Native American, and I'm half Jewish. So, but on the Native American side,
hey man, everybody is, man. I hear that all the time.
No. I mean, the way that I think about it is this: is that I mean, from the Crow tribe, and the really neat part is this: is that whenever, I mean, even Brandon can tell you a little bit about Doc. I mean, that's what we always call him, Doc, Dr. Ron Tripp. I mean, he's a doctor now. He's on the board of a couple of different oil and gas companies and different things. But I won Fight of the Night, one of the first fights I ever had through his organization, and I'm able to work with, you know, different tribes and basically go in there and mediate and say, you know what, it could be good for the tribe this way, or it could be good for the tribe this way. And you know what? There's a lot of politics into that, how the federal government will deal with them, or how we can help get construction contracts, or how we can, you know, it's never what you know, it's always who you know. So, and you know what? If they're going to pay $100,000, $120,000 for a fight card, and then I can start building our situation, and or for the kids that are coming through the wrestling programs, if I can start building their situations, you know, because I can't fight forever. But the really neat thing is that I get media stuff because, I mean, you get, seriously, a ton of douchebags, literally, a ton of douchebags that don't know anything. And I get the opportunity to work with guys even like, Bradnon. I mean, I know Brandon Shelton right now. He's sitting, you're like 21-6 or 20-7, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I do really bad at keeping track of my record. I just look forward to the next fight and go on after that.
And for a guy that's like that, I've seen a ton of guys on UFC that have, like, not even that well of a record. But I know that they've already been talking to Sean Shelby at one particular time. But I also have to say this. It's more than just fighting. You got to learn how to sell tickets. I knew this. When it comes to Johnny Hendricks, they would not give him a title shot, even though all of us people at Oklahoma knew. For me, I knew Mola Wall actually taught George St. Pierre how to wrestle in 2007 over at Team Quest at Dan Henderson's camp. But Johnny Hendricks has been wrestling since like 1980s, and George St. Pierre has only been wrestling since 2007. So that's why that they're doing all this marketing and put it behind Johnny Hendricks now, because they made him beat up all those people along the way. He stuck John Stitch. He wound up sticking everybody else, though. And then he finally got this other guy at Team Takedown to start working on his marketing. So you got to start telling guys like Brandon Shelton to set up a YouTube. No.
Get the fight, show up, win the fight, go on.
Absolutely.
Now
and that should be as simple as it is.
Yeah.
So guys like me get to work with Brandon and be able to say, hey, you know what? You've got to do some mass communicating. You've got to set up YouTube stuff. You've got to be able to sell tickets, because Chael Sonnen, I mean, I got into it with him at UFC Expo, and the truth is I actually know the guy. You know, wrestlers we're like a fraternity. So the truth is that, you know what, I kind of actually know the guy a little bit. You know what, I was just kind of busting his butt a little bit over some stuff, and you know what, it was kind of good for the both of us. So, you know, sometimes you got to play the villain.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill and Brandon, I want to hear more about the Chael Sonnen thing, and also, too, we want to talk to Brandon a little bit. I'm going to let Rob Mead take a sponsor break here real fast. We'll be right back with you fellas.
You're listening to Funky Monkey MMA.
Real quick, I want to give a shout-out to our sponsors, KOBKfighter.com. Got some awesome $10 T-shirts, some ass T-shorts. Go ahead and check them out over at KOBKfighter.com. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and like us on Facebook.com/The Funky Monkey MMA. And if you're interested in sponsoring the show, you can email us over at funkymonkeymma@gmail.com.
You're listening to Funky Monkey MMA.
All right, Bill, I got to hear more about the Chael Sonnen thing. Now, Brandon, I want to talk to Brandon real fast. Brandon, you're 20-7, 16 submission wins, which is 80% of your record. The Oklahoma wrestling is paying off, I'd say.
Yes.
What's coming up?
I'm sorry, repeat that last part?
Oh, I said the Oklahoma wrestling is it's showing off there with 80% submission, win. You can tell that you're.
I like the wrestling. I've grown up wrestling. I wrestled, Oklahoma State, University of Central Oklahoma. But what a lot of people don't know is Ron Tripp. He's world champion. Pat Burris, also, he's a two-time Olympian in judo. I got my black belt in judo a long time ago and competed on high levels in judo. So when I go into fight, people are thinking, oh, he's just another short wrestler from Oklahoma. But that's not my game at all. I don't mind being on my back. I'm comfortable on my back. I've gotten my game to where I want to be comfortable in every situation I'm in, and I want to be able to win every situation I'm in. So that's where I'm at now, and that's why now I'm wanting to really push myself. I'm really wanting the tough fight. I want to fight Joe Warren more than anybody in the world wants to fight Joe Warren, because I am positive I could change his mind about being the toughest person in the world. And it's just a matter now of me doing the right things, getting the marketing out, letting people know I'm here, I will take the fight, and I will win the fight. And you know, I'm confident in my skills. I'm also very humble. I know what I need to work on. I still have a lot of MMA to learn. But I'm not just a wrestler. People look at me as a wrestler. I'm better at judo than I am wrestling. So.
Well, everybody knows that wrestlers have the most intense conditioning and have insane cardio. I mean, you finish 85% of your fights.
Yeah.
How's your cardio, man? You must have insane cardio.
It's good, and it's getting better. I've recently discovered, and I know a lot of people look at it as a cult, but I've discovered CrossFit. And it's just something, just a little bit extra. I like to venture. I like to tap into new things. Once something starts to get easy, then that means you're getting lazy. So once it gets easy, it's time to do something else. And let's, you know, whether you're up in what you're doing or you're moving on, full body workouts, and just make sure you're ready when you get that call. I've made the mistake of getting a call, a 1-week notice fight against tough guys, and being like, okay, you know, I took a fight against Rolando Delgado on an 8-hour notice. And I was there, okay, I'll take the fight. Yalcin Mesa, same situation, took the fight on a 1-day notice, you know. And those were my fault for not being prepared for those fights, and I learned my lesson. So now I constantly try to stay prepared. If the UFC were to call me tomorrow and say, can you fight in 2 weeks, I will fight, and I won't have an excuse because I'm ready. So that's where I am now, and that's why Phil, he's a huge help for me because he is so good at the media stuff, and he's really good at, info and this and that, and so now I can focus on my fight game, on my wrestling, on my judo, on my jiu-jitsu, on my stand-up, and then when I have questions for the other aspect, the media aspect, I have somebody to go to, and I'm starting to get other people, that are really helping me out. Dr. Tripp, really helping me out. I mean, I can name drop for days on people, but it's just, it's a big family here. When you have a family and you have support, it's just everything's coming together. And I'm 26 years old, and I feel like I have 25 years left in me. I haven't had an injury yet, no surgeries, nothing. So I'm ready to go.
It's funny you made me laugh when you said CrossFit because there's a guy that lives near me. He's always been a notorious couch potato and computer guy. And he started doing CrossFit. I mean, the guy looks great. He's lost a ton of weight and just looks fantastic. And he tagged me in a post the other day on Facebook with a picture of a cactus in a cereal bowl, and it said at CrossFit, we eat pain for breakfast.
That's funny. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's as tough as a tough MMA practice or a tough wrestling practice, but it's definitely something that will benefit. It's something that helps. My buddy Tim Elliott actually is the one that sold me on it. He's a 125-pounder in the UFC, and he started doing it. And that dude can go 27 5-minute rounds. And I decided if he's there and he's doing that, it can't be wrong. So I'm in it, and I love it, and it's just something just a little extra.
Brother, I've been seeing your posts on Facebook, though, where your girl actually goes with you.
Yep, she does. She actually is my biggest motivator. I have a lot of really mean coaches, and they yell at me and they scream at me, and I'm used to that. But when she gets that look and she looks at me and says, "You're going to get your ass whooped," then I need to get up. She'll say, "You are going to get hammered your next fight if you don't get off the couch."
One thing that you were telling me was that you started eating a little bit healthier. It's crazy because my lady's actually been getting me into that too.
Yep. I'm trying to do the whole deal. No, if I get beat my next fight, it won't be because I was on a bad diet, my cardio was bad, or my stand-up wasn't right. It'll be because the guy was better, and that's what I've wanted to get to for a long time. And I'm just now, I don't remember what you said my record was. I've had a lot of fights, and I've had a lot of fights where I wasn't a rounded MMA guy, and I relied on wrestling and judo and stuff. And I'm just now getting to really love MMA because I'm understanding the sport. I'm understanding what it's about. I've always been comfortable in there, but there was a lot of times where I did, I was like, I have to get this fight to the ground. Fought a kid named Jacob DeVries out of Arizona, and I remember thinking, I'm going to take this kid down 27 rounds, 27 times in this round because I'm tired of this kid punching me. And so it turns into take him down, let him up, take him down, let him up. And that's not what MMA is. That's not what Dana White wants to see. I know what they want to see. And so it's just all about, continually progressing. And that's what I'm looking for now.
One more question.
We have about 5 minutes left in the show, and before it's over, I've got to hear the Shelton story from Bill Smallwood.
You know what, man? It's funny because a lot of people actually thought that I stood in line because, he got up there for a Q&A. But anyway, long story short, I wound up cutting the line. One of the things I think is very disrespectful is openly talking smack about people's careers and different things. So, and it's kind of quite slanderous. So, anyway, to make a long story short, he actually saw me, and I was like, "Look, man, I've been a fan of yours, for quite a while though. But one thing I can't understand is that why people listen to really anything you have to say, because where I'm from, you don't reward the loser, and he hadn't won for like a year and a half. I mean, you can say what you say, that he beat up Anderson Silva for, 5 rounds. He did, but he didn't get his hand raised at the end of it. What my mom used to tell me is this: whether you win by 1 or 100, a win's a win and a loss is a loss. So, kind of like my last match, though.
On that right there, Jill talks so much stuff, and people didn't know who he was. They thought, this guy is a nobody. And I think what happened was, I don't think people really cared that he won or lost. I think people were surprised that he come in and did what he said he was going to do. He didn't win, but he almost won. And I'm a firm believer on winning too. I'm very competitive, but I think he actually backed it up a little bit.
1 or 100. 1 or 100. 1 or 100, a win's a win and a loss is a loss. That's just kind of a good rule of thumb. Is he a competitor? Yes, he is. But I'll also go in further and say this: I don't know anybody that's dumb enough to take a legitimate title shot against a guy like John Jones or Anderson Silva and only have a couple of weeks to prepare. I'm sorry, you're going to have to let me build that fight. You're going to have to let me get prepared. That's just the way title shots are done.
Yeah,
I'm going to disagree. You put yourself in the cage, you have a puncher's chance. And with Chel's an Olympian. You put yourself in the cage, he knows how to win. You give him the opportunity, there's always that chance he's going to win. You don't turn those fights down.
There's always a chance. But whenever you're doing it for a title shot, when you're doing it for a title shot, you don't do that.
Well,
because I'm going to tell you this just straight up.
Well, I think in the case of Shelton, though, he might not have too many more chances to ever get a shot at a UFC title.
No, of course not. I mean, they're letting him be a commentator. And like I was trying to tell him straight up, I said, look, the only reason Dana White keeps you around is because they gave you a microphone. That's why. And he didn't really like that. He didn't really have a whole lot to say, though, until he was kind of like, you know what, he didn't rebuttal me. He was just, in all honesty, though, I liked it because he finally got it and understood kind of the concept. He goes like, who are you? Who are you? So, you know what, he kind of let me ride his coattails for a while, so, you know what, I tipped my hat. And then I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter a week and a half ago. I saw him. I said, look, man, it didn't really mean anything by it. He goes, that's all I know, man. He goes like, man, have a good time in there, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, fellas, we got less than 2 minutes left in the show. I'm going to throw it back over to Rob Mead and let him finish up with everything.
Okay. Great talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Dave.
You guys want to give a...
Yeah,
I guys want to give a quick shout-out to your sponsors and stuff real quick?
Absolutely. One quick, this is coming from Bill Smallwood. Las Vegas Recovery Center. I want to give a shout to Darla Ellett and with Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, the Dean Family Pharmacy, and Ellett Consulting, obviously Dr. Ron Tripp of C3 Fights, my student Chris Connors, my trainers Malik and John, some other sponsors, Daniel Cobb, Dax Johnson, Crow, Indian Nation, Jewish Family Services, Brian Hopkins, and Shirley Hutstetler. Thank you.
I want to give a quick shout-out to Black Steel Energy Drink. Peyton Mendenhall, David Gibson, helping me consistently, always make sure I'm there on time, always pushing me. I want to make sure, Bill, I want to give you a shout-out. You're helping me a lot. I want to help all of my training partners. Without them, I mean, I would literally be in my garage hitting a bag, not at a gym, you know, doing what I need to be. And Dr. Ron Tripp, he's always been there. since I was 8, supports me financially, you know, always advice, coaching, and just, I mean, there's too many to list. Just everybody that's helped me, I really appreciate it, and I promise there's going to be big things in the future.
One last thing I want to say, Dr. Matt Grice, and prayers for him.
Yeah, prayers for Matt. He got in a motorcycle accident, and he's having a hard time, so prayers for him and his family.
Real quick, guys, I just wanted to say we can record for 15 more minutes. If you're listening right now on iTunes, that's one of the benefits of subscribing. If you're listening right now, subscribe to our iTunes real quick. If you guys want to talk a little bit more, that's fine. We got about 15 more minutes.
Okay. I'm having a good time talking to you guys and a good conversation.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing actually about wrestlers though that I always loved is, I mean, I never bag on any of the other 3 sports like jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or boxing though, but the really neat thing is that, you know, whenever you're dealing with wrestlers and, man, Bradnon, what's your degree in anyway?
History education.
History education. That's right though, because you wound up being a coach.
I did. You know, history never changes, so it seemed to be the one I wanted to go with.
I still did my shoes, man.
I got to throw out there and thank somebody, too, real fast. I got to thank a couple of my sponsors real quick, too, before we get off here. Rockwell Watches, man. Them guys are fantastic. You know, check out Rockwell Watches. Also, Dokes of Clothing with Louis Alvarez out in L.A. Fantastic guy, man. If you need anything custom-made, custom gear of any kind, it's all handmade. He stitches it together himself. Also, Rumble Time Promotions got a couple big shows coming up with them guys. We're in St. Charles, Missouri, September 21st at the Dwight Davis Center. And then we're out in Youngstown, Ohio, September 28th doing boxing with number 3 in the world, Willie the Great Nelson, HBO guy. And yeah, I just had to throw that out there, fellas.
You don't mind me asking, Rob, what actually got you into MMA?
Back in middle school, I was actually bullied, and you know, I was fat at the time, and I wanted to, you know, lose weight, but I just kind of fell in love with it. I started out originally boxing.
I know.
I come from rodeo into MMA. I was actually a boxer as a kid, and then we moved to the country, and I got into rodeo. Didn't know anything about MMA until a buddy of mine started up a company. And he asked me, he said, hey, would you be interested in announcing MMA? And I said, yeah, man. And same thing. I fell in love with it. Absolutely fell in love with every aspect of it.
Rodeo guys are crazy, man.
Yeah, I was a bull rider, man, and we were kind of the, you know, elitist, you know. We had our own group. We didn't hang out with, you know, the closest person that we let hang out with us that was a competitor that wasn't a bull rider was a bareback rider. Other than that, you didn't hang with us.
Jeez. No, they've got their own. Yeah, they've got their own. It's did you drink the Kool-Aid type of stuff, though. I mean, I promise. I used to know guys. They would get toenail polish, and every time that they would successfully ride a bull, they would, you know, mark off a toe. That was just one of those things.
My old traveling partner that I rodeoed with in high school won the world with the CBR back in 2010, Luke Kelly. And I wasn't a great bull rider. I was okay. But I never won anything. The guys I were competing with were some of the best in the world, and if I had a great day, they had a even greater day.
Phenomenal day, yeah.
Oh yeah, these guys would stand up and surf the bull.
Man, I live out here in Las Vegas. It's crazy because they actually have national finals rodeo, and then I know there's some people actually with in Oklahoma. They're always mad though, but that Las Vegas actually took it for about 9 or 10 days. They've got, like, you know, pretty much everything.
You can just go around the corner here and see someone riding a bull.
Yeah. Oh man, they've got the nightclubs. I used to go to the Corner Beer Night. What was it at Club Rodeo? I don't even know.
Club Rodeo. Now it's called Cowboys, but yeah, Club Rodeo.
Dude, yeah. I signed up for that. Like, what was it? They had a Quarter Beer Night, and man, I used to drink like nobody's business. And I haven't drank in a long time, like 2 years maybe. But anyway, the thing is, Quarter Beer Night, and every hour on the hour, at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 1 o'clock, you know, they let somebody actually ride the bull. Now, me being an adrenaline junkie and being an ex-wrestler, I'm sitting there, I was like, man, that sounds like a good idea, you know, about 8 or 9 beers into it. And the thing about Oklahoma beer is like, what is it? It's like 3-point beer, so naturally, man, it's like drinking water. So anyway, I don't drink no more. I kind of stay away from all that. But it's crazy. They actually have a chute. They've got the dirt. They've got bulls in there. You got to sign up a week in advance. Oh, man, it was awful.
That's funny.
Hey, I tell you what, it was good times. And I can remember getting tore up. You know, if a bull got a hold of me, you know, they'd want to wipe the blood off. And I said, hell no, man, I'm going to the clubs afterwards. I mean, that was, you know, the girls were floor riders, man. And if you had blood on you and ripped up, you could tell the biggest story in the world.
Yeah.
So it was
my first fight ever was in Stillwater. I was wrestling at OSU. Obviously, I wasn't supposed to be fighting. I showed up to watch, I don't remember, one of my buddies, Michael Delk, or somebody was supposed to be fighting. It was title fight at 170. I'm wrestling at 133. And he didn't make weight, and they were going to fight him. And so I was like, yeah, I'll step in and fight for you. I'm weighing about 148, 150 right now. I'll fight the guy. I've done judo. I know how to choke people and armbar them. So I go out there, and I am getting my face punched in, and I wanted out of there. And I was like, this isn't what I signed up for. I thought this was just wrestling. Took the guy down, submitted him, and they wanted to cut my hand wraps off. Not happening. I wanted to walk around in those things for days. I thought they were the coolest things. I didn't even know you got paid. Afterwards, I was like, oh, that was cool. And they were like, yeah, your check's from the back. I was like, oh, well, I just found my new sport.
I got a question for you, Brandon. Why is it John doesn't really like, or Coach Smith, John Smith, why doesn't he actually like MMA?
I don't know if it's as much as he doesn't like MMA as much as he doesn't like how guys that possibly could have a future going to, you know, worlds, going to the Olympics and stuff like that. What MMA's done is give us an outlet. And we've wrestled so long, and if you've ever wrestled, you know, it's not, and I know it's cliche to say, it's not a sport, it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you really even necessarily enjoy to do. I remember I didn't have an option. You wrestled, that's what you do. It was never a do you want to wrestle.
Yeah.
And so when you get out of that, when you're done and you think, oh, my gosh, I get to make my own choices now? Like, this is up to me? And then you say, okay, well, I can go do this, which is, you know, in my opinion, MMA is 50% wrestling. And so you say, okay, I'm already halfway there. I'm already halfway to MMA. And so then, you know, I got to refine some skills and I can make some money doing this. Well, wrestling is not exactly going to get you rich. And so that's just, it's an easy outlet for wrestlers to say, okay, well, I want to do this, or even like in my case, I actually stopped wrestling for MMA. I don't remember what my record was. I think I'd won 7 or 8, 9 in a row, and I thought this is the easiest sport in the entire world. I was like, you take people down, they roll over, and you choke them, and they tap out, and you get paid. This is the easiest thing I've ever been a part of. And then I fought a kid named Joseph Benavidez, and he was a little different story. And so that's what made me, you know, learn, okay, now this is a sport. Now I need to learn it. So it's an outlet for wrestlers, but at the same time, they get weeded out real quick in which they would have stuck with the wrestling. A lot of them do.
Yeah. No. The reason I asked that is because back in 2007 when Mola Wall was trying to make a transition into MMA, but he was also trying out for the 2008 Olympics, he was over at Dan Henderson's camp. And I was living in San Diego, and we were just, you know, networking back and forth, though, because he went to UCO, and then he went on to Oklahoma State. But he was trying to tell me, he said, don't really tell John anything. And I was kind of like, huh? I was like, oh, okay, no big deal, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was always kind of gun shy like that. And it's crazy because his brother, I don't want to say his brother, not Bull. Bull is his real brother, but Daniel Cormier is almost like his real brother. When Daniel Cormier actually lost his daughter in that car crash, Mo was there with him in the car. And Mo and them went through a couple of years, like, you know, where Daniel went through some depression. And anyway, I don't really want to tell all that whole story, but anyway, they've got a real close bond. But Daniel Cormier has got Roy Nelson coming up, and he's the co-main event on the UFC. And it's crazy because wrestlers from Oklahoma kind of have like their own like little family, and I wound up asking Mo. I said, because Roy Nelson and Mo Lawal train together. So I said, you don't mind me asking? I said, what is what's Daniel think about you training Roy Nelson? He said, I'm not training Roy. So I just smiled, put a little smiley face, a little text message. So.
Yeah, I don't know. MMA and wrestling, I don't know how. Well, hey, wrestling got voted back into the Olympics now, so there will continue to be the conversation of which wrestlers should have stayed in wrestling and attempted it, and why did they go to MMA, and why didn't this one go to MMA, and why did he stick with wrestling? So.
Oh my God! Did you see the people in the front? Because I woke up yesterday early. Did you see the people that were sitting? What was it? They were all holding hands because they had all three federations. They had softball, baseball together. They had squash come together, and then they had wrestling. So wrestling's on the back little tier. They had them come in. They said, all right, invite in all the federations. And it's funny, though, so they're going through the votes, and they're basically saying, okay, the guy's reading the final paper. And all the people up front, doing squash, they're holding hands, and they're like, really hunkering down, though, and they're like, okay, it's wrestling. And all the wrestlers in the back, they're like, yeah! I couldn't help it. Because you're watching, what is it, USA Wrestling, and you're watching, the World Trials, and you're watching Kyle Dake and Jordan Burroughs go at it like best 2 out of 3. Yeah. And it's funny, though, because, even the commentators are like, I don't know, man, these guys are really going at it. I don't know. Who wants to flip over the station and really watch some squash? And you're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got to ask you guys, do you think mixed martial arts will ever make it into the Olympics?
No, I don't. I don't because I think they would have to change up the scoring system to where it's like boxing, and I think it would be too much controversy. Think about right now in the UFC, how many times are you like, you got to be kidding me? Like, there's no way that decision was right. There was no way that I don't remember, how many fights can you think of? The Shogun Machida fight always comes to mind. There's no way Machida beat Shogun that fight. The first one, I believe. So think about in the Olympic finals if that were to happen. And it was, Japan, Russia, Japan, America, Russia, America. It doesn't matter. Then that's an issue. I'm an Olympic champion. I trained for 4 years for this. I put everything aside for 4 years for this one tournament, and the judges took it away from me. And the pointing's going to be different.
Well, also, too, look at Olympic boxing still wears headgear.
Exactly. And now every jab you score a point, every right hand you score a point. They have 1 second to hit the buzzer. I'm not, I'm not 100% positive on that, but I know the scoring is just, the last time I watched boxing, I quit, and I like watching boxing. The last time I watched it, I quit watching it because of how they were doing the scoring. It was annoying.
I got sick on boxing whenever they let, when they let Bradley beat, I can't even think, Filipino, what am I thinking? Pacquiao. And I used to work with what was I going to say? With his trainer. I used to work with his trainer. I used to work in their business. I used to know their mom. She was the first lady judge. Man, that's a really big family. Freddie Joe and Pep Roach. All of them. Al Roach and all those guys. That's a big family in Las Vegas. They own a big, huge, telemarketing business and different things. But, man, all I know is this. Whenever somebody says in boxing that you're undefeated, that doesn't mean that you're the best boxer. It means that you can box a little bit. Actually, it probably means that you can box better than most of the people. But I can tell you this. Whenever you have a 0 sitting on there, that means you have some really good clout. You've got politics behind you. That's exactly what that means.
Yep. Right on. Hey, guys, we got about 1 minute left in the show. If you guys want to give another shout-out to your sponsors real quick, you can go ahead and do that real quick.
Yeah, just one more cool release. I already mentioned Black Steel. Nano. It's an all-energy drink, all-natural energy drink. Unbelievable stuff. Bodybuilding.com is another good one. Just all of those, I just, want to give a shout-out to all of them. I really appreciate everybody's help.
Right on.
Okay. One other one, what was I going to say? Mostly Daniel Cobb has helped me probably the most. Dax Johnson, obviously, Co-Indian Nation. and Darla Ellett with Ellett Consulting, and hopefully we can get this fight on juvenile diabetes research. So if you haven't already checked it out, Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, or JDRF. So pretty cool.
Right on. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
And if there's anyone listening, the 135-pounder, I will take your fight.
Hey, it's been good meeting you guys on here. Nice talking to you.
Thank
awesome.
you.
We'd love to have you all back on here.